Today we're going to be checking out Razer's two best MMO gaming mice, and these are part of the Naga lineup. We have the Razer Naga V2 Pro, which is considered the best, and it is the priciest one, and then we also have the Razer Naga V2 Hyperspeed, which is considered the second best, and it's a little bit, well, significantly cheaper than this one. We're going to be seeing what some of the differences are between the two, so you can decide on which one you'd like to get for yourself. So with that being said, let's get right into it, and starting off with the first difference between these mice is going to be the detachable sides. So the Razer Naga V2 Pro has two detachable sides. It has a side that has 12 buttons, which is more for MMO gaming. Then it has this MOBA side, which has 6 buttons on the side. This is going to be good for games like League of Legends or Dota. And then it has a 2-button side, which is good for FPS games like Counter-Strike. So if you're someone who plays a lot of genre of games, the Razer Naga V2 Pro is going to be a very versatile option. Now the Razer Naga V2 Hyperspeed is going to only have one siding, and that's going to be the MMO siding, which comes with 12 buttons on the side. You can still play other genres of games that aren't MMOs with the V2 Hyperspeed, but you're not going to have that optimal setup if you are going to be using the Hyperspeed. The next big difference between the two mice is going to be the scroll wheels. So the Razer Naga V2 Pro is going to have a very advanced scroll wheel. This scroll wheel can be customized in the software to change how it feels, the tactileness of it, how much tension is required to scroll. You can really fine-tune the scroll wheel to make it feel just like you want it to. Now moving over to the Hyperspeed V2, this scroll wheel is only going to have two options. It's going to have the tactile scroll, which is when you scroll you can feel every click, or it's going to have free scroll where you push the button above the scroll wheel and it has this free spin mode where if you spin it, it just keeps scrolling and scrolling until it stops. So both scroll wheels are great, but I would say the Razer Naga V2 has the better scroll wheel just because how you can fine tune it. You can't do free scrolling with this mouse, but you can really fine tune it to be smooth scroll or tactile. Okay, so the next difference between these two mice is going to be the switches. The Razer Naga V2 Pro is going to have the 3rd gen switches, which are going to be the optical switches. These switches don't require a metallic connection in order to register the click, and there's going to be less delay and it's going to be much faster. And I also noticed that it feels better than the Hyperspeed V2 switches. The Hyperspeed V2 switches are going to be using mechanical switches, similar how a mechanical keyboard works. These are still going to be very nice. I have no complaints with these switches, but there is going to be a slight delay. I personally can't really notice the difference, but that's what they claim on their website, and here's a little graph that kind of shows what the differences are between the mechanical versus the optical. Personally, I didn't really notice the delay, but I did notice that the Naga Pro V2 does feel better and more fluid when actually clicking the mouse clickers. So in a nutshell, both switches are great. They're not really a deal breaker. Just know that the Razer Naga V2 Pro is using the 3rd gen ones, and to me they feel a little bit better, but again, not a deal breaker. Alright, the next difference between both of these mice is going to be software related, and that's going to be the onboard memory. With the Razer Naga V2 Pro, you're going to have up to 5 profiles that can be saved onto the mouse. So if you have like 5 different games that you play or productivity setups, you can toggle between them by pushing a button on the mouse of your choice, and it's going to toggle what the hotkeys are actually assigned to, and you can also assign them to the different detachable sides. So you're definitely going to need those 5 profiles to be built into the mouse. Now the Razer Naga V2 Hyperspeed only has 1 profile, and you can't switch them out. So if you're someone who has a lot of different workflows that you need swapped around all the time, the winner here is definitely going to be the Razer Naga V2 Pro. Alright, the next difference is going to be lighting related, and that's going to be the RGB lights. So the Razer Naga V2 Pro has RGB lights built into it. It's going to be on the back of the mouse as well as the side buttons. However, the Razer Naga V2 Hyperspeed has no lights at all, so no customization there. It's just going to be a solid mouse with no lighting at all. Next thing to cover is the battery life as well as charging methods with both of the mice. So the Razer Naga V2 Pro is going to have 2 methods of charging. You can either charge it through the cord that it comes with, USB-C, you just plug it in to the front of the mouse, or you can use the puck that they sell separately from the mouse, and you can just place the mouse on the stand and it's going to charge wirelessly like that. With the Razer Naga V2 Hyperspeed, the only way to charge this mouse is going to be to replace the battery. So this thing is going to be fully battery powered. So the Hyperspeed V2 battery life is going to last 250 hours with the dongle and 400 hours with the Bluetooth. So make sure you have your battery set up ready to go if you're planning to get the Hyperspeed V2. So I would definitely recommend investing into a battery recharger. Now the next difference between the mice is going to be the price. The Naga V2 Pro is going to run for $180 as of making this video, and then the Hyperspeed V2 is going to be $100. So with the V2 Pro being nearly double in price, is it worth getting over the Hyperspeed V2? Well, that really depends on two things: what you're going to be using the mouse for, and of course what your budget is. If you're someone who likes to play different genres of games, MMOs, MOBAs, and FPS games, then the Razer Naga V2 Pro is going to be a better option. Now, if you're someone who's strictly an MMO gamer and you're kind of on a budget, then the V2 Hyperspeed is going to be the better option because of the price tag, and you don't really need the detachable sides. However, if budget isn't an option and you're okay with spending $200 on either of these mice, I would definitely go with the V2 Pro just because it's better in pretty much every way possible. The only real thing this mouse is missing that this one doesn't have is the free scroll. And if the free scroll isn't a deal breaker for you, then this is going to be the better option because it still does have the customizable scrolling and it can do pretty much everything this mouse can do and more. So if you're interested in learning more about either of these mice, I'm going to leave my dedicated reviews for both of them down in the description below, along with links on where you can purchase them. And with that being said, if you like this video, be sure to click that like button and leave your comments down below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.